obviously, I think when initially I moved here to the US, and it was a great rupture. I mean, I would call it. It was a big rupture because I was terribly involved in both the events in my country and the journalistic practice. I had my own TV show, for example, every night. I was the editor of a weekly magazine, and I was also part of a think tank. So that was my life. It was very full and it was very engaging, and I thought, at least, no delusion of grandeur, but I thought I was making some kind of impact. So that rupture, became very clear, within a few days, that it was not going to be the same anymore. And the TV channel that I worked for did not initially tell me that, they were not going to have a show of me, but, within a few weeks, I think by the first month, it was clear that they were not interested, because if I was not there, how were they going to manage? And I wasn't very keen either. But I did continue working for the magazine. I became its consulting editor, and both wrote for it and edited and commissioned many stories, and I continued that even when I moved to Ithaca. And when I had moved to Ithaca, then I was actually offered an editorship of a newspaper, which I did accept, and because that was my way to remain engaged. And of course it was, I did it for 2 years. I finished that in March of this year, but mainly because logistically it's a nightmare. Waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and talking to people on Skype, and then staying up late in the night because of the time difference. So that was wearing me down. But it has been tough, and but what has happened in due course is that while that particular relationship may have changed substantially, but I've tried to build, and luckily I'm fortunate that I'm building a new one here through Ithaca College and through the Center for Independent Media, where I not only am kind of engaging with what's going on in the US, in the region here, and in the US as a whole, and the world, but also very satisfied at a very fundamental level that I'm able to work with young minds and young curious minds, and help them understand and interpret the world, and other than the basics of journalism and whatever writing, but the fact that you're actually making that sort of an impact. So I would say that yes, it was a sense of loss, but I guess I'm regaining some of that through another means. So, which is fine. Which was also tough, mind you. Initially, Ithaca College is a great college, but the student body and the faculty and its administration is predominantly white. So, we can't really wish away those facts of life. And so, obviously, the dynamics of being in a classroom as sometimes the only person of color is by itself a challenge to negotiate and navigate. The initial few months were a little kind of tough, and especially with the first years and the second years, who are very young and who've not been exposed to the world outside their state or outside the US, I would say. So, but I guess I've kind of learned how to handle that in the last 5 years.